Hey Aqualuster, how are you? Not too good? Me either. I'm not okay. But that's why we're both here, to deal with this BBA outbreak. I did this to myself. I got this new light, it was stronger. I was so excited, I put it on the tank, and then I went away on vacation for a week. Yeah, I'm not too smart. So then immediately after vacation, I had a friend in town for a few days, and then I got a cold, still a little stuffy, but I didn't get to deal with it, and now it had taken over the whole tank. I'm going to go over the why I got this and the how I'm going to deal with it, and also some preventative steps along the way to help you avoid it. So Black Beard Algae, or is it Black Brush Algae? Let me know what you call it in the comments below, but I think it's a beard and it's a pirate here to kill all my plants. Science calls it Anadulaba, Massacra, Aduanella. Basically, it is a red or a black algae that looks like a hair tuft, and it's a filter feeder, and it's filtering on all the excessive nutrients that are in the water. It's very hard to remove. It grows on your hardscape and on your plant, and we'll see it on the edges of the plant leaves, and I'm going to go over why that happens. When I changed the light, I changed it to a more powerful one, and I didn't monitor the other two important parameters, which would be nutrients and CO2 levels, to see what the changes would be with the new light, and boom, algae outbreak. So for me, it was an abundance of nutrients. The bio load in the tank, as you see, has got a lot of fish, and it's too many fish. I need to thin that out. I need to reduce feeding a little bit. And as I was testing everything, I saw a 40 ppm increase in nitrate in 1 week, and that's because the fish are just producing so much. But it's not always just the waste and the fertilizers that is going on. It's this old growth that really needs to be dealt with. The old growth is dying off, and when it's dying off, it's releasing everything that's in those leaves. This is why you see this in a mature tank like this, when the old growth is dying off and their leaves are not really as healthy as they should be, and they're not really processing as much, and so the BBA will attach to the edge of the leaves where the leaf is basically breaking down, and it's feeding off all that goodness. Everything that the leaf is made of is being released into the water. So this is contributing to the abundance of nutrients. So beyond us doing a good cleaning on the tank, maybe getting rid of some any excess mold that be on the surface of the substrate or stuff like that, it's really just important to let's cut back that old growth and replant it or discard that. So that being that BBA is a water column feeder, now that your plants are releasing all that out into the water, and that water flow has all those nutrients in it. This is why it's often found in high flow areas, because it's filter feeding that water column. CO2 levels are also related to your BBA problem. Inconsistent delivery of a CO2. Now this tank is CO2 injected, but I use a pH controller to monitor the CO2 so that this way I'm seeing a 1 pH drop every single day. The plants know exactly what to expect. Black beard algae will thrive in inconsistent delivery of CO2, or if you're not holding a consistent level where it's always going up and down and day to day, it's not repeatable. They're looking for stability out of that. The other thing that you'll see in a low-tech tank is that if you have stone like series stone or any stone that has a calcium in it, is dissolving and raising the pH constantly. So in a tank like that, water changes are important in order to maintain a stable pH level that isn't lowering the amount of CO2 available. As the pH goes up, the less free available CO2 is in the water. So those low levels of CO2, the plants can't thrive, but BBA can. As in nutrients, I'm using Easy Green Fertilizer, and for this tank with this bio load, I don't think it's really the right one. Easy Green Fertilizer, being that it's adding phosphates and adding nitrates to the water for plant growth, I don't really need those, as the phosphates and the nitrates are going to come from the food and from the fish waste. So I'm going to switch to a new fertilizer for me, which would be the APT1 from a 2-hour Aquarist. And basically, this is a no nitrate, no phosphate, but all the other macro and micro nutrients you need so your plants can thrive. So cut them back. Let's get rid of the old growth, and let's make sure that we're fertilizing balanced. Definitely like and subscribe so that you can see the follow-up, how changing from Easy Green Fertilizer to the APT has really made some changes and some really nice reds popping out in the tank. One thing to keep in mind too with all that maintenance and cutting back old growth is that your filter, especially in a tank like this where I'm using a canister, it's just your trash can. Now a canister is just a real big trash can. If you have a sponge filter, it's a small one. If you have a hang on back, it's a medium. But how much can it hold until it's just releasing nutrients into the water? So always take in consider your filter maintenance. Am I really flowing clean water? Because getting rid of that excessive abundance of broken down material that is trapped in the sponge will help the water be free of an excessive amount of nutrients. As for your cleanup crew, nobody really wants to eat it. There are a few things out there like a mono shrimp and nearite snails that will eat black brush algae or black beard algae. And the problem is that they're never really going to deal with an outbreak of it, and they're more for maintenance of the tank than actual when you have an issue with imbalance. So that was the why, but now the what are we going to do about it? What we're going to do is we're going to do a 40% water change at least, and probably do just about half the tank or so. And then I'm going to treat with Seachem Excel. I'm going to show you how I treat the water and how I treat the plants that are underwater and in between water changes. And yeah, that's a little trick how to get your siphon going without sucking on it. I'm going to use Seachem Excel. If you don't want to use Seachem Excel or a different brand that's labeled as carbon, that'll usually have the same effect. You can also use hydrogen peroxide to do the same thing. The treatment will be the same, but you may need to do a few more treatments in order to have the same effect. One thing to keep in mind is that Seachem Excel on certain plants like Vallisneria can be really detrimental and kill the plant. So if you have sensitive plants, 2-Hour Aquarist makes Fixlite, I believe it is. So they have the APT Fix, which is same product as this pretty much, and what its effects are. And then the APT Lite, which you use on sensitive plants, use it in the same way, and it'll have a really good effect at killing off the BBA without harming the plants. So now that we're drained down about half or so, a lot of it's exposed, I'm going to stop the siphon here. And yes, I put a little sponge in the end of it to protect it so they don't pull up any of the fish. They are very curious. I have done that. So that's one little tip that'll help you. I'm going to take some Excel in a pipette, and I'm going to take at 2 milliliters at a time. So you want a graduated pipette that has measurements on it. And I'm going to take this in here and I'm going to apply it directly to the BBA on some of the plants that are submerged. Now that the tank's drained down and the water has become still, I'm going to apply it directly to this BBA right here on this leaf and just slowly squeezing it out, following over the tops of the BBA. Once I've done all the submerged areas, go to your other areas above the water right now and apply some directly to that. You only need droplets at this point because it's not being diluted with water. This tank's a 40 breeder, so for 40 gallons, I can use 20 milliliters in total for the very first treatment. Going forward from there, you want to use 1 milliliter per 10 gallons. Now that I'm done dosing, now I want to fill the tank back up. I got a little trick for you here. What I use is a plastic placemat. I'll put that right on there, and I prep my water ahead of time, and this way I can go ahead and fill it right away, and I can take this and just pump right back into the tank. So while this fills, what I want to talk about really quickly is don't just go out and start doing big, large water changes. The reason that you don't want to do that is because the rapid succession in changes will change the mineral hardness. Now I use RODI water, so it allows me to set the water exactly to match the mineral content of the tank every single time. So there's no change for the fish. But if you haven't been doing many water changes and you've just been topping off the tank, then you could have an issue with the hardness rising, and you changing a lot of water rapidly or big water changes like this can cause shock to the fish. So to avoid that osmotic shock, which is the fish's inability to maintain an osmotic balance with the minerals in the water around it, you want to make sure that you test the water in your tank. You want to test your supply water too. So this isn't the first treatment for this tank. Basically, I've been giving it some time because I didn't want to overdose the tank in it. But once you've got it filled and you're not doing a water change, what you can do is shut off your filter and let the water become still. Once the water becomes still, Then go and slowly add it with the pipette and give it about 15 minutes before turning the filter back on. And basically you can use this every 24 hours. I've been dosing about every 48 hours. Dosing the water column also works, but I don't find it as effective as directly applying to it. So this isn't a cure-all. You need to really get everything back in check. You need to look at those minerals, and maybe you need to make a change in fertilizer like I need to. Or maybe you just need to increase your water change level. But if you want to know more about that hardness problem and why your plants may not have been thriving in your tank, check this video out right here, as it can show you why just topping off your tank is probably causing a problem. Yes, I did just change my water in under 10 minutes.